Hey, Dethroners, welcome back to the Dethroning Your Inner Critic YouTube channel. I'm Joanna Kleinman, psychotherapist, best-selling author, and CEO of the Dethroning Your Inner Critic coaching and consulting company. And if you are someone who feels like you are being held back from something within you and you can't seem to get to where you want to be in your life, this episode is definitely for you. So I want to speak to you today because I believe that our life is really short. We are here to take our pain, our hope, our sadness, our love, our fear, our doubt, our anxiety, and to transmute it into something extraordinary. And that's what I want for you. I want you to understand how to live your life from your higher self. And that is really about stripping away all of those fears, all of those limiting beliefs that distract us from who we really are and what we're meant to be doing during this brief time here on Earth. So, most of our views, most of our beliefs are really inherited. They're shaped by our family, they're shaped by our culture, shaped by our religion. And beneath the surface of all of that lies a wealth of hidden beliefs that really dictate our lives. So understanding and challenging these beliefs is really the key to our, not just our transformation, but really what's possible for us moving forward. You know, it's just like an iceberg. Much of what guides us is below the surface. It remains unseen. So it is so important to uncover these hidden beliefs because that can really truly change the trajectory of our lives. And that's what I want to talk about today. Okay. So there's a 3-part formula that I'm going to go into today that if you follow this formula, it will change your life. And if we keep using the same old mind, the same old identity to guide us through life, we're going to keep believing that we have to figure it all out. We hope that we're making the right choices. We hope we don't make a mistake. We keep our focus on making sure we're not judged and we don't fail. And we spend the majority of our time and energy thinking and overthinking everything. And we can find ourselves grappling with these old identities and questioning if we are even worthy of our dreams or if we even really have what it takes. And I know this because this is my old identity and my old self. So if you're listening to this, you can probably relate to the mental tape that keeps playing in your mind too, okay? Because this old identity just never leaves us, right? Think about this for a moment. If you've been on a journey of growth, you're no longer the same person that you were 5 years ago, okay? And it's very possible that there may be almost nothing left of the you that you were 5 years ago. But yet, here you are today, you still have the same doubt, you still have the same fear, you still have the same what if scenarios that are probably still showing up in so many areas of your life, right? It just now attaches to the new version of you and the new version of your life. So every time our old identity shows up, you know, really screaming the same old bullshit, right? We think there's something wrong with us and we keep wanting to eliminate that part of us. Okay, well, what if we let go of wanting to eliminate it? What if every time we're leveling up, and what if every time we're allowing the next part of ourselves and our journey to come to us, what if this is what it looks like? What if that old identity comes swooping back in, right? And starts fighting for its existence, right? What if we just expected it to start screaming at us, all right? because I can tell you that my identity shows up every time I'm massively up-leveling some part of my life. Because when we're up-leveling, there's always uncertainty. There's always some part of ourselves that actually needs to die. And that also could be that there's some part of our life that needs to die in order to make space for the new self and the new part of our life to show up. So sometimes receiving what's next looks like letting the old die. And that's super scary and uncomfortable. So today I want to dive into a very different perspective on life. And this is the 3-part formula to follow that has the power to change your life. And particularly, this is what you want to follow when you're stepping into the next version of yourself and your life. Okay. And so the 3 parts of this are incredibly important, because what I certainly have come to realize and have helped thousands of people navigate is that the more we manifest the parts of our vision that we never dreamed we could, it doesn't get any easier, okay? Because like I said, that old version will just swoop its way back in, okay? So just when we're on the brink of breakthroughs, in comes the self-doubt. We're back to those old identities, right? And that old identity is taunting us with the familiar narratives, okay? But instead of getting rid of that old identity, what we're doing is we're actually building a muscle here. We're building the resilience to withstand the discomfort that that old identity keeps bringing us, okay? So these are the 3 parts of the formula, okay? Number 1, make choices now from the excitement of your future, okay? So whatever options you have before you, choose the one that sparks even a little hint of excitement about what might come, even if you're not sure what might come, all right? Just kind of getting in touch with a possibility that might come to you. Number 2, act on those choices with integrity. So once you've chosen, you want to commit fully to that choice and act on that choice to the best of your ability, following it all the way through to the end. And making sure that every action that you're taking, of course, has integrity to it. Okay, so that's number 2. And number 3 is to let go of expectations, to release any assumptions, any attachments, any demands, any outcomes that you want. Because if we keep holding on to assumptions and attachments and demands and ideas of what our actions are going to produce, it's going to cause us a lot of overwhelm, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of anxiety. And trust me, I've been there more times than I can even count, right? So trusting in the process is a really challenging place to stay. So I want to unpack these 3 parts to the formula, okay? Because we often will complicate things, okay? We make our life more difficult because we have an automatic mind that has us overthinking everything and making choices from doubt, from fear, rather than from excitement, right? So it's really important to understand what you believe to be true and how you define it to be true. Because what you believe to be true and how you define that to be true is really what defines your reality. So knowing the difference between that automatic inner critic voice and the voice of your true authentic self is really a game changer, because as I said, your inner critic is just going to keep getting louder with every next level of your life. Okay. Remember, it was there 5 years ago. Now you're a new version of yourself. It's still there. All right. So I often feel that fear and doubt. And I feel it even while I'm making choices from excitement. Okay. Because I can get in touch with excitement about the possibility of what's to come. But my inner critic mind has not stopped telling me, who do you think you are? And you're not good enough for that next level. So the more I keep following this three-part formula, the more I continue to step into a future that was really unforeseeable to my past self. So every time I'm leveling up and stepping into that new version of myself that's required to receive the new version of my life, you know, my inner critic is just going to keep spewing the same broken record. And I'm used to it because I made an agreement with my future self that I'm going to take guidance from her. I'm going to take guidance from that future self, not from my current inner critic self, not from who I automatically think I am now. Okay. And this sounds a little morbid, but I often picture myself at the end of my life, the very end of my life. And I want to know at the very end of my life that once it's time for me to leave this earth, I did everything that there is to do to make my dreams a reality, even if they never become a reality, because that's okay too. Because there are probably a lot of dreams that I have that are probably never going to become a reality. But I want to make sure that I've left no stone unturned. And I don't want to leave stones, unturned. I don't want to have that journey be riddled with fear and doubt and uncertainty and not being able to access joy. Okay. So if we're living with this three-part formula as our North Star, what happens is we're able to align ourselves with a very different mind. And that is where our deeper wisdom lies. That's our intuitive self. So that's not automatic. Okay. What's automatic is our inner critic selves. So when we're using our intuition, we're acting on our highest excitement with no attachment to the outcome and letting go as we go. And particularly letting go to our inner critic's attachment to wanting to prove our value to anyone else in the world. Okay. Because when we're stuck in those old unconscious parts of ourselves, we're operating from those beliefs that are underneath the iceberg. We can't even see them. And they're all rooted in fear, which is not who we really are. So when we're using our excitement to guide us, that's what propels us forward along what I'm going to say is the path of least resistance. Now, when I say the path of least resistance, I don't mean that it's smooth sailing. What I mean by the path of least resistance is that I can trust that when I make choices using this formula, I'm either being led to an action that's going to take me to the next level or an action that's going to take me to the next lesson. Now, we have to have lessons along the way. That's how we keep up leveling. So our greatest lessons are learned through our pain, learned through our mistakes, learn from the times that we fail, from the times that we're judged, from the times where it doesn't go the way that we thought it would. So if we're spending our lives avoiding pain, avoiding fear, you're never going to get to that next version of you and that next version of your life. And even if you do, you're going to experience it through the lens of overwhelm and pain and fear and uncertainty. Okay. So it's tuning into our excitement that connects us to synchronicities. So Carl Jung defined synchronicity as an acausal connecting principle whereby internal psychological events are linked to external world events by meaningful coincidences rather than causal chains. That's a big mouthful. Now, what does this mean? It means that synchronicity happens when things inside your head match up with things happening outside. Okay. When you're thinking about something and then it happens in real life, and there's really no clear reason why. Now, what I can tell you about synchronicity is that synchronicity can sometimes take years and years and years to manifest. So there are images and visions and ideas that I've had in my mind that are manifesting now that I had 5 years ago, 10 years ago, some of them even 15, 20 years ago. Now, now that they're manifesting, I can look back and I can see all the puzzle pieces, but I can also see all the fear, all the doubt, all the uncertainty, all the times where I thought, well, that's never going to happen. I don't even know how I would ever make that happen. So synchronicity is those tiny little miracles that show up in our life, that show us that there really is a universal interconnectedness. And we can't explain that with our physical science. We can't explain that with what we already know. So these moments, when we see them, they're like little winks from the universe. So my friend Jamie sent me this great meme, right? And it says, every time the universe sends me a sign, I'm like, okay, but I think I'd like to wait for a signier sign. I think I'd like to wait for something where it's no doubt, no mistake that that is synchronicity. That is a wink from the universe. Well, we're not going to get that. We're not going to get a signier sign. Okay. We get these winks all the time. We have to be open to seeing the winks. Okay. Instead of just thinking that we're waiting for a signier sign, right? When you follow this formula, you open yourself up to seeing the signs because you're grounding yourself in the energy of excitement, in the energy of joy right now, in the energy of trust. If you're in the energy of fear and doubt and wanting certainty from uncertainty and feeling overwhelmed and doubting yourself and doubting life and not trusting the process, you're going to miss the signs. You're going to keep waiting for the signier signs. And I get it. It's so hard to stay grounded in trusting that we're on the right path, right? So when we're back in the energy of fear and doubt and frustration and blame and anger and stuckness, these feelings, right? These uncomfortable places to be actually serve as a mirror for us because this is how we can clearly see where we're misaligned with our higher consciousness. And this serves to guide us to what do we need to keep unhooking from? Where is this inner critic's limiting belief showing up? What triggers it? How long has it been there? Because when I see those inner critic limiting beliefs, I have an 8-year-old version of that. I have a 22-year-old version of that. I have a 48-year-old version of that, right? Never goes away. So the beliefs that we choose to give energy towards, those are the beliefs that are going to shape ultimately how we feel. And then how we feel is going to shape our behaviors. So the more that we can keep using the fear, the doubt, the pain as the mirror that it's intended to be, that's how we can keep unhooking ourselves every time our inner critic shows up, and we can realign ourselves with our true, authentic selves. That's our higher self. Okay. And when we do that, okay, when we act on this formula, what happens is we start living way more in this very moment. When I just keep acting from excitement and trusting the process and knowing that I am just going to act to the best of my ability all the way to the end, and I'm letting go of an attachment to where it goes, now I can be present right now to just how much joy and abundance I already have in my life. And that is a game changer. That has me living a very different life right here, right now. It actually has the most important parts of my life, like my most important relationships, my husband, my 3 children, my extended family, my friends, myself. It changes all of that. Okay. Now, it's not easy. I faced moments of despair. I faced moments of despair 2 days ago, right? I go back and question if my dreams are even attainable. I continue to feel overwhelmed, right? And I also hear from so many people that are questioning, am I even on the right path? Is this even the right path for me? What is the right path? What is my future self really wanting for me? And I get it. So if you are there and you don't have clarity, you don't even know if you're on the right path, you don't even have a dream that you're connected to, you don't even have a future vision that you're connected to, you can still tune into the excitement of trusting that you're being led to get clarity about what's next. You don't need to figure it out now. You really can just keep aligning yourself with what feels like it's going to bring me even the slightest bit of excitement. Okay. And that might be something having nothing to do with discovering your next chapter. It could be, what would bring me excitement right now? To go take a painting class, right? What would bring me excitement right now is to go take a walk in the woods. Okay. So if you have a feeling right now that you don't like, it can always be traced back to something that you believe about yourself that you're not aware of. And when you identify that belief that you're not even aware of, that you have about yourself, and when you can really put it right here on the palm of your hand, that's how you have the ability to let it go right then and there. Okay. So if you still feel that way, right? If you continue to feel that way, you haven't found the true underlying belief that is underlying the feeling and therefore underlying your behavior. So acting on your excitement right now has you living more in the present moment and paying attention to only what you need to know right now. In other words, only paying attention to what you need to know when you need to know it. So if you're having a feeling that doesn't feel good and you haven't found what's the belief under that, get yourself present. Pay attention to what you need to know just right now, because everything else will come when you need to know it. Okay, so my invitation to you is that if you can allow yourself to get in touch with the future excitement that comes from clarity about what your next chapter will be. You don't have to have clarity right now to get tuned into excitement. You just have to follow this 3-part formula, and it's going to lead you to clarity, but you just have to follow it and you have to trust it. Okay. Doesn't have to be an overwhelming excitement. It can just be a little bit of excitement right now, and following that to the best of your ability with zero expectations or attachments, and trusting your higher self to guide you, because your higher self is always guiding you to what is meant for you. See, I refuse to let my current circumstances dictate my emotions or limit my potential. Okay. Even if I can't see what's coming, I know I'm climbing a mountain. And even if I can't see the top, Right now, in my life right now, I am in the middle of the mountain. I have no idea where all of this is heading. But I know I'm heading somewhere. Can't see it, don't know it. But I can get excited even about what I can't yet see. And that's because I don't listen to my automatic mind's negativity. I let my vision lead. I let my future self lead me now. Okay. And I continue to detach from outcomes. And that's the formula that will have you finding your joy in the present moment. Okay. So today, I remind myself my fulfillment has nothing to do with achieving my goals. It's actually about embracing those simple joys. I find joy in what I already have. I have joy, really deep, profound joy in what I've already created. I'm working on new dreams, but I'm not clinging to them. I've relinquished control and I've invited the universe to guide me. And that right there is what I want for everybody. The ability to relinquish control and to let the universe take the lead. Because that is exactly what tunes you into your inner wisdom. Without that, it's very hard to hear your inner wisdom and guidance. Okay. Because the right outcome is going to unfold at the right time. Okay. You're going to recognize what are the right actions when it is the right time for whatever is next for you to come into your life. So it's like that there is something that is beyond us that is at play. Okay. If we just stop thinking that it's just us, we've got to make it happen. We've got to force it. We've got to strive to figure this all out. It is such a different life. Okay. Now, I've heard from so many of you all over the world. You've emailed me about your own experiences with the consciousness of the universe. There is a consciousness of the universe. All right. Now, I want to talk to you about what this means for you, what it's meant for me, what it's meant for countless other people who are reaching for something in their life right now that seems like it's more of a dream, or they don't even know what they're reaching for and they have no idea how to make a dream a reality, or they have no idea what they're meant for. Okay. Because I can certainly look back on my journey from where I started, and I can look back on the journey of the thousands of people that I've had the profound privilege of supporting through their journeys. Okay. The journey of manifesting your visions does not get easier, because here's the thing, no matter where you go, there you are. In other words, that old identity is always going to show up. So what we keep bumping up against is what I call your inner critic's never-ending message, right? For me, it's, who am I to deserve this? And do I really have what it takes? So I find that many times, just as we're on the brink of the biggest breakthrough, this is when we lose steam. This is when we want to throw in the towel, because our old identity starts to spew its familiar narrative, right? The needle hasn't moved to the degree that we think it should. We're not where we think we should be, right? Then we start comparing ourselves to an ideal image of who we think we're supposed to be and what we think life is supposed to be. And then maybe we might even compare ourselves to somebody that we think is already there. And why did they get there? And why didn't I get there? Right? So what I've discovered along my own path, and again, everybody's path that I've supported in this, okay, is that this formula is really all you need to know, right? Again, whatever your options are right now, choose the one that brings you a little bit of excitement, act on it to the best of your ability, take it all the way till you can't take it anymore, do it with integrity, and let go of your expectations and assumptions, right? Or insistence on how it's supposed to go, how it's supposed to feel, how fast you're supposed to get it, how it should look when you get there, right? It is a formula that really, it's simple, but it contains everything that you need to be supported in your life, to be supported through this journey. Okay. It really can serve as the driving engine that keeps you going, especially when your inner critic wants you to give up and throw in the towel. Right. So I say this to myself on repeat. I mean, literally, I say this at least 2 or 3 times a week. I say, I didn't come this far to only go this far. So say that to yourself. I didn't come this far to only go this far. Now, my dad passed away this past September, and I will never forget, this was maybe 10 years ago. I was leading a Dethroning Your Inner Critic workshop. He was at the back of the room, and when I was done, he said to me, if I knew what my inner critic was, and I knew how to not take guidance from it, I would have gone way further with my dreams. And my dad gave up on his dreams. And I watched my father give up on his dreams. And I watched him for the next 25 years. I watched his spirit slowly dwindle. My dad died not fulfilling on his dreams to the degree that he deeply, truly wanted to. And I feel like I am now living his legacy, because not only watching that in his life, but the fact that he said that to me, I remember where I was standing when he said that to me. So now I know that no matter what happens, I will keep acting to the best of my ability and take it all the way to the end, no matter what happens, and continue to let go of any expectations or demands of where it's supposed to go, right? It's the one thing. This formula is the one thing that's created my life today. All the times I wanted to give up, when my automatic mind told me it just wasn't going to happen, right? When I spent years holding on to those expectations. Oh God, all those years trying to get my book to the finish line. And right, it felt like pushing a boulder up a mountain, because I had my own inner critic's ideas of how it was supposed to be. And I truly did believe that it got easier and that I would be able to relinquish my fear and my doubt. And the freedom that you find when you recognize, you know what? You don't have to get rid of it. You don't have to no longer have that running tape in your life, because you're going to, right? Even this podcast, when I first started this podcast, I didn't know the first thing about podcasting. And I have to tell you, I am not technologically savvy. Okay. I found hooking up the microphone to be incredibly overwhelming. Okay. And the thought of understanding how to create an online program that I could teach, let alone now that I'm teaching to people all over the world, that was a fantasy that belonged to somebody else. That was going to be somebody else's life. It was a pipe dream for me, but it just was not possible for me if I was asking my inner critic. And I believed that that just wasn't going to happen for me. So the only difference with who I was then and who I am now is that I've really been following this formula, and I just keep unhooking from that automatic mind. So I stopped taking guidance from it, and I let the vision of my future self continue to lead the way. So with every failure, every setback, every time an action that I took went nowhere, every time it didn't work out, I took the next action. I just didn't give up. I kept my focus on the vision. And what became clear to me with every step is that All there is to do is follow this formula. And now I don't let myself spin in the frustration and the overwhelm. Because now I really do understand, oh, it's never going to get any easier, right? This is it right now. This is as good as it gets. So I might as well experience joy for exactly who I already am, exactly what I already have. And while I'm reaching for what's next, I can just be in joy right now, right? And still, I say to myself to this day, what if it never goes any further? What if today is as good as it gets? And I lean into how extraordinary life is right now. And you can do that too. Life is never perfect. Having an extraordinary life right now does not mean my life, your life is perfect, right? But I can see I have 3 healthy, amazing children. I have a healthy body. I have a loving and supportive husband, right? I get this gift of making a contribution in people's lives every single day. I have deeply fulfilling friendships. I have a grocery store 5 minutes from my house, right? I can have food whenever I want it. I have parents who love me and who believe in me, who see who I really am. Even though my father's passed away, I still have that relationship with him, right? That I felt so complete in my relationship with my father when he died this past September, that there was nothing left unsaid. These are the small miracles. And when I really am present to that, these are the things that make my heart whole. And I have to let go of needing more than that, even though I'm still taking actions that continue to spark new dreams, right? I'm in the process of creating a certification program. Hopefully, it's going to gain accreditation from the International Coaches Federation to train people in teaching the mind method to other people all around the world. You know, there's a lot of dreams that I don't know how they're going to go. I don't know how it's going to unfold. But there's a freedom since I've let go of trying to control any of it, right? That's what's allowed me to find my true self. And so many people think, well, I have to find my true self first, and then I can start on my dreams. No. You've got to find your true self now. You've got to invite the universe in to take over now. That alone is going to unleash a freedom and a spontaneity and an experience of joy that no amount of striving or controlling can ever spark within you. Okay. In fact, the striving actually blocked me from seeing the right actions to take at the right time. Right? Letting go gives you access to your higher self, to your inner wisdom that is not accessible to you if you're still operating in your automatic mind. And that is when you recognize the right actions that show up at exactly the right time, and you start letting the universe act through you because you've allowed your automatic mind to get out of the way. So if you are curious about integrating this 3-part formula into every important part of your life, and you're curious with how to work with me, I invite you to book a clarity conversation with me to determine whether we're a fit. I work with people individually. I work with people in the most delicious small cohort mastering your mind programs. If either of those things feel like it might align with where you are in your life, I'd love to connect with you. Go to my website, dethrowningyourinnercritic.com. And thank you so much for tuning in today, and have a beautiful day.